Hey folks, welcome to verifiedinvesting.com. My name is Gareth Soloway, Chief Market Strategist here. Now, in today's video, we're going to dive into the oil market, the gold and silver market, because we're seeing a breakdown on oil. This is something that I predicted even when everyone else a few weeks ago was extremely bullish, saying I'm crazy. I said, nope, the pattern is bearish. This is going to come in. And sure enough, we're breaking an even bigger parallel trend line that should signal further downside to 80 to $75 per barrel. Take a look here, guys. So this was your signal that the top was in back here. Now, off of that, we had this bearish inside bar pattern, but look at how it stayed within the parallel. Low pivot to low pivot to low pivot, high pivot, and look, right up here, you hammered over and over again, right? 1, 2, 3, and couldn't break through. That was the bearish signal. That's where I pulled the short off and nailed it to the downside on oil. I shorted Exxon Mobil. I actually covered that today for a 13% gain. Occidental Petroleum, we made about 16% on that trade if you're part of smart money stocks, commodities, and miners. But bottom line is here, guys, look at this. We've now broken this parallel, and this should signal further downside. My first target on downside on oil is for a move to $77 a barrel. So watch that, folks. That should be where we're headed, to about $77 a barrel. Like I said to you guys before, is you have a scenario now where oil could actually stay elevated from where it was in February. In February, we were at $60 a barrel. That was the average price. I don't think it's going back there unless the U.S. gets into a recession. And I'm going to tell you why, is because a lot of countries, inclusive of the U.S., were shocked by the oil shock. And now they used up a lot of their reserves, their strategic reserves, and they need to refill those, because what if things escalate again in the Middle East and the Strait of Hormuz is closed? And so once we get to $80 to $75 a barrel, my guess is the big countries are going to start to buy oil, and that's going to keep it there unless we get into a recession and the demand side of the curve really gets hammered to the downside. So right now, this is my general downside target, maybe as low as $75 a barrel right here. But bottom line is, again, I would say that in general, you're looking at this area to up to that trend line right here. This zone is your downside target on oil. Okay. Now, again, if we get in a recession, we go back to 60s right in here where we were in January and February, even in the 50s. But that right now is your latest update on oil. Now, let's go to gold here, because gold's an interesting one for sure. Gold is creeping up here just a little bit. Notice, though, what's going on. You have your, all right, look at this, guys. You have your high, low, lower, low. So this is now, we're now in a downtrend versus here, it was low, higher, low, higher, low, higher, low, high, higher, high, right? So you had this uptrend. We topped out. We had a big correction, big bounce, right? Big corrections yield big bounces. Then we came down again, made a lower low, bounces. And what's this pattern, guys? You guys know this pattern here. What kind of pattern is that? That's a bearish flag pattern in the chart. So look for this to eventually trade out, come down again, make a lower low. I'm generally using the previous lows as my guide to where this is going to go. It also matches up with a key technical level on the charts. So if we take this low here, right, and we connect it to that low, this is where we're headed. Basically 3,900, which is interesting because this low here, this big pullback low, guess where that is? 3,900. So that's your next target to the downside. I don't think that's necessarily the low on oil, on gold, but I do think that's a big bounceable level. If we get down to 3,900, I'll probably play it as a swing trade long. Ultimately, I still think we're going back here to about 3,450 to 3,500 on gold. That will be my longer term target for a big longer term buying opportunities versus swing trades. All right, let's flip over to silver, see what silver's doing here. Silver, good day today. It's still continuing down move inside bar, same thing. High, lower, low, lower, low. So we're now in a downtrend. The bounce is normal off of this move down. This is now forming what type of pattern, guys? An inside bar bear flag, which eventually should yield downside to $50 a barrel. Remember, bear flags are down moves. Let me redo that there so we can see it a little bit more clearly. Down moves, inside bar like this, and it usually yields a down move. So that's a classic bear flag scenario right there that's forming on silver. So we could go as high as 82, maybe even pierce 82. But once we get there, I would expect a downside move to come in on silver. Now, let's look at platinum and palladium, see where these things are here. Platinum and palladium, same thing. You can see, by the way, look at this. Take this low right here. You guys see that low right there? Take that, connect it to that low, and look at what you get. You literally got this low right down here to the penny. That's really, really cool. All right, now we can get rid of that point of interest, but basically look at that low right there to this low right there to that low there. It's incredible how this works. Now, again, same sort of thing. High, lower, low, lower, low. And same thing. We're now down move inside bar. Eventually, this rolls over. My next downside target, you're going to extend this out. And we see that this level and this level right here, around 1700 or just below 1700, is what I'm eyeing in terms of that opportunity for a buy. So this would be a big buy down here below 1700 on the chart of platinum. Now, Palladium, let's take a look at Palladium real quick here. Palladium, good rally, same thing, but same sort of pattern, high, lower, low, lower, low. This is your big target here on Palladium here, folks. I'm looking at around 1235 as major technical support. That should be a good level. Notice again where we came down here was right into this level as well as this high. And also, if you connect these, look at that. Look at that. Lows, low, to right there. And so eventually we have to break that. That gives us our downside. I would be a buyer for the longer term if we get down to this, let's say 1230 level or so on Palladium. Lastly, I want to cover copper. Copper, let's take a look real quick at the copper chart. Copper's had a great move here. Good move on copper here to the upside, really rallying up pretty nicely. What am I looking for? This level here. We also have a lot of resistance right in here. And in fact, look at that. This actually looks to be, this is actually a very good shortable level now. High pivot right there and there. So copper actually looks like a starter position right here for a short. It may go as high as here, but that can be used as a dollar cost average. Ultimately, if I'm correct with my macro outlook that we're eventually going to have a recession later this year, then copper's going a lot lower. All right, right now there's a lot of optimism that, hey, oil comes down, everything's going to be hunky-dory. I don't really buy that. I think oil is going to come down, but if we look at the underlying aspects of the economy, it's a lot weaker even before the oil shock. And I think that does push us into a recession. All right, so keep an eye on this. First target on the downside on copper would be to this trend line here. So from there, from about 613 to the target of about 540, 545, that would be your target downside there. I'll keep that on my radar as well. But right now, copper, again, starter position on the short side here looks fantastic. We'll see again if it comes down into this level. All right, so that's where we are at this point, guys, in the commodities. The big news, obviously, is what's going on with oil. Oil breaking its parallel was a classic inside bar bearish pattern off of a major topping tail. That was the signal when everyone else was bullish that, nope, you got to get short oil here, and oil is coming in. You guys have a great rest of your day. I'll talk to you soon. Take care.